Hello, and thank you for watching our video on how to fill out the Inventory Smart Items template. Filling out the Items template is part of your account setup process where you can add all the items you plan on tracking in Inventory Smart. This spreadsheet is typically filled out after you've had an introductory call and before you have a training call. Filling out this template allows us to populate your account with all your item information so that we can ensure that your account is ready to go by the time that you're ready to be trained. You can fill this template out with the information you already have, like from an existing spreadsheet or from a vendor's website. The information you add to this template will determine which items will be tracked using Inventory Smart, how you will order them, and how the items will be shown on various pages. For this reason, it's important to fill in as much information as possible to ensure that your account is set up exactly as you'd like it to be. We will go over the importance of some of the information included on the template and how it will affect your account. Some columns are required, and I will explain why those need to be filled out. I will show you an example of adding a dinner plate so that you can see how the template should be filled out. Keep in mind that there may be additional columns on your spreadsheet. This is based on any additional features you may have. If you have questions about those columns, please reach out to us directly and we'd be happy to help you with them. I also would like to point out that you can make changes to your items at any time after your training, including adding items that you forgot or deleting items you don't need. So don't worry, if you forget anything, you can always change it later. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started on the spreadsheet. I'm just going to explain some of these columns and rows here. So this first row is just the name of each column. You'll notice that some of these are highlighted in an orange color, and they also have required fields written in red next to them. So that just means that those fields are required to fill out. The row beneath that is an explanation of each of these columns. So there's always going to be additional guidance for you. The third and fourth row are two examples that we provide for you so you have an idea of what should be filled out for in this spreadsheet when you're filling out your items. So today what I'm going to do is just go through each of these columns, and I'm going to use an example of a dinner plate. So this first column is just the item name. The next one is the vendor that I purchased the items from. So just enter that vendor name here. The stockroom, so this is where I keep this item. This item could be in as many or as little stockrooms as you'd like it to, but it has to be assigned to at least one. Let's say that we keep these dinner plates in housekeeping storage as well as building one closet. And you'll notice with Excel that it does automatically fill those out for you. If you need any assistance with Excel tools or how to make things go a little bit quicker, you can always feel free to reach out to us and we can give you some tips. The next one here is a stockroom inventory category, which is also required. So this is just the category in which the item is found in the stockroom. So if you have a large stockroom, you may have very broad categories such as tools, kitchenware, things like that. If it's a smaller stockroom, you could have more specific names such as dinnerware, silverware, etc. So it can be as broad or as specific as you'd like it to be, and it's just whatever makes sense to you. So let's say we want to have the dinner plate listed in our dinnerware category within our housekeeping storage stockroom and our building one closet stockroom. And just to show you where that's going to show up for you, so on my app right here, if I go to the stockroom count page and I select a stockroom, this is going to show my stockroom and the categories that I have. So in my housekeeping main stockroom right now, I have an appliances category, a bathroom category, a bedroom category, so on and so forth. So this is how those items are going to be shown on this page. So those categories are what are going to define the order in which they're showing. Something that you can also do is add a number to the beginning of a category name if I wanted the categories to appear in a different order based on my stockroom layout. So for example, if the first thing I see on the shelf when I go in is my consumables, I could add a 1 before my consumables category name. Okay, the next thing we have here is inspection list category. So if you're planning on using the inspection feature, this would be the category that the item would show in on an inspection list. In this case, let's say we're going to call this category kitchen dinnerware. And I will show you what that's going to look like as well on an inspection. So if I go to my inspections here and I pull up an inspection list. So here we have our inspection list categories in gray. So closet, appliances, bathroom master, etc. So these are how the items are going to be shown on your inspection list. Again, something you can do is add a 1 or numbers to the beginning of your category names if you want them to appear in a different order. In the case of the inspection categories here, I put kitchen before the name of this category so that all my kitchen categories will appear together. For example, here on this list we have kitchen accessories, kitchen bakeware, cookware, etc. So they're separate, but they're in the same area. So when I'm in the kitchen, I'm not going up and down scrolling on my list to find these items. The next thing here is department. So if you would like to assign this item to a department, you can just add the department name. The benefit to adding a department is that you can separate which people assigned to which departments can see whichever list. So if I'm assigned to housekeeping, I'll only see our housekeeping inspection list, and so on and so forth. If you would like for everybody to see everything, you don't have to necessarily assign a department. Next thing here is the UPC barcode. We do have a QR label system that is automatically generated for all of your items. However, if you prefer to use UPC barcodes, if you'd like to use both, you can add the item's barcode right here. The next is the vendor item number. And let's say we're going to add a number here. The next column, the next two are required. So the vendor unit of measure, this is how I purchased the item from the vendor. So based on this vendor item number, am I ordering these in a case or in an individual item? Let's say that this item number is for a case. So I'm going to say case for my unit of measure. The next one is the quantity in case. So this would just be however many is in that case. If I purchase this in quantities of 12, so a case of 12, that's what my quantity in case would be. If there's any, if you have any items that are you just purchased in each and individual, that quantity in case is always going to be 1. So each would always be 1. If it's a case, you would enter in the quantity that you buy that item in. Okay, the next one is our internal item number. So if you have internal item numbers already, you would just enter those here. If you're interested in setting these up but you're not sure how, you can always reach out to us and we can help you kind of get that started. But typically this would be something like a combination of letters and numbers, like AP 101, just as an example. The next one we have here is description. So maybe for these plates, these are a cream color, part of a collection, and maybe we find them in our presidential unit. So we can add that description there. The description does follow the item throughout your app site. So if you ever have any critical information that you want to add about this item, you don't necessarily want to put it in the name, you can always add it to the description. And just to show you, like here, for example, back on my inspection list, I can see the name and description here. And then if I go back to stock room count, I will also see a name and description here as well. Some people also like to use this as a translation. So if you have staff members that maybe speak 2 different languages, you could have the name of the item be one language, and in the description you could add the translation for that name. The next column here is our stockroom minimum on hand. So this is how many of this item we'd like to keep at minimum on our property at all times. For the plates, let's say we want to have 24 eaches. So the reason I'm putting each is that we're going to inventory these by each. So when I'm doing a physical count, I'm going to count the plates individually instead of in a case. You can, this is totally up to you. You can make it whichever unit of measure you'd like. We have the options of each case feet or ounces, and that goes for the vendor unit of measure as well. The vendor unit of measure does not have to be the same as the stockroom unit of measure. So it doesn't have to be the same one for both. You could have one in case, one in each, or the opposite. So that's our stockroom unit of measure. This is a required field as well. So we do need to know how you're going to inventory this item, regardless of what the unit of measure is. And then our reorder quantity, this is based on the vendor unit of measure. So in this instance, it would be case. So the reorder quantity is basically used as a calculation when you are placing an order with your vendor through the Inventory Smart site. What you would want this to be is either the required vendor case quantity. So if they require you to order, for example, 12 plates at a time, you would put 12 here. So if you have a required case pack, that could be your reorder quantity. Otherwise, it would just be whatever you want to reorder when you get to your minimum on hand. So once you get to your minimum, in what quantity do you want to reorder that item? And I do recommend, this is not a required field, but I strongly recommend filling it out because it helps you a lot with the ordering process. It does all the calculations for you, so you can just easily reorder your replacement items. Here we have our cost. So just go ahead and put that in here. And then belongs to. So this would be if you have an item that is a part of another item. This first example we have here is great. So this first one is a coffee maker carafe. So it's just a part of a coffee maker. And here in belongs to, all we did was add the name of the coffee maker that it's assigned to. So you would just put in this column whatever item this part is assigned to. This is a great feature when you're using the inspection piece. So to show you what that looks like, if I go back to my inspection here, we have what we call a parts missing feature. So for example, with a blender or a coffee maker, here's that carafe, and it's assigned to the coffee maker. So if there's ever an instance where just the carafe is broken, but the coffee maker is working perfectly fine, I can say that I just need a carafe and not the entire coffee maker to be replaced. That could cause issues with your inventory on hand if you say that you're taking out an entire coffee maker to replace it, but in reality you're just taking out a carafe. And then over here we have replaced by, so if you knew that this item was being replaced by another item, maybe a new standard, you could add the item that is being replaced by here. And then we also have, very lastly here, the item GL code. So this is used for accounting purposes. It's also great for the budget feature that we have, which allows you to budget and see your budgets when you're creating orders and see how you're looking on the month and on the year. So that's a great use for our GL codes. Besides that, that's about the whole spreadsheet. Again, if you have any questions, we're always happy to help you fill this out. So just reach out with anything that you may need. Thank you.